Hello and welcome. My name is Steve. This is The Baldest, a podcast about baldness, self acceptance, and what happens when you stop fighting who you are and become the baldest. Today, I'm joined by Azar, founder of NUDEMELON, a new skincare company making products specifically for bald people. But this conversation goes beyond skincare. We talk about why it feels like things are changing in the bald community, the New York City Bald Meetup, and how one entrepreneur is changing the narrative around hair loss. Here's my conversation with Azar. I only know you from social media, and I'm like, all right, this guy seems cool, right? And then the second the camera turns on, you're actually wearing sunglasses in a podcast. And I'm like, yo, who is this guy?
Here, check this out. So now you're recording me. Now I'm recording you. You can see the blinking light.
What? Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like fully like recording a video right now, and the quality is really good. Like the audio is really good. It picks everything up. And I like specifically got it because of the bald meetup in New York. I was like, okay, I'm probably like not going to be wanting to hold my phone up and take video and stuff like that. So I thought this would be good, but then turns out I completely forgot to record half the stuff that I wanted to using my thing. I ended up using my phone a lot of the time because I wanted to hook it up with my with like my mics and stuff to get like better audio. And so I barely used this, even though I really wanted to.
Yeah, and I feel like as a human being, you probably just forget that you're wearing a camera on your face and you just think you're wearing sunglasses, right?
Yeah. I do. Yeah. And at the bald meetup, it was actually raining. So I also didn't need this at that time. But the full intention was to go in there and I was like, okay, I'm going to get all this content. I'm going to have this thing going. This video, it only goes for 3 minutes and then it automatically stops. So it was recording at the start and I just forgot to like keep restarting the video. So yeah, that was kind of on me, but I still got a lot of good content.
Yeah, I've been obviously looking at all of it, and yeah, I really wanted to go. My plan was that if I did go, that I would bring someone with me who would just do camera the whole time, a non-bald to do the camera.
That would have been the play. If I should have just had some other person that I brought with me to kind of do all the recording so I didn't have to worry about it. But I was like a one-man show out there and I had to, like, I was giving out samples of my NUDEMELON. I was filming, I was doing interviews, I was hosting that melon eating contest. So there was a lot, and there was just things that slipped through my mind and things that I just couldn't do everything. But yeah, dude, it was a super fun event. This is a perfect time to do a podcast, by the way, because I'm still like running on the high of the event.
Well, I imagine a lot of people are. I've been getting a lot more follows and messages and seeing more people that were there. And I don't necessarily know what it is, but it feels like there's something happening. There's something happening with us bald people. And when you had this idea to start NUDEMELON, were you sensing that something was changing in the bald community's direction, or did you just sort of did the universe just tell you, okay, it's time?
So NUDEMELON, it's an idea that I've had for quite a while now, probably like over 5 years. And I wish I acted on it sooner. But I wasn't really in a position to do that. Like, obviously starting a business is like a risk. Both financially, but also, time-wise as well. So I wasn't really in a position to commit and execute for NUDEMELON back when I first came up with the idea. And now I feel like the stars are just kind of aligning in terms of like my personal situation, financially and in terms of time. But then also you mentioned it, I think right now, I feel like there's a shift in the bald community, or not even in the bald community. I think in society in general, where, there's a lot of people that are now starting to accept balding or baldness. I think, 5, 10, in previous years, balding's always been seen as a negative thing. And like, if you're going through the balding process, it's like embarrassing. You don't really want to talk about it. If you see someone that's balding, it feels like you're walking on eggshells when you're talking to them because you don't want to like, trigger them in any way about their hair loss. But I feel like now we're starting to see it become more normalized in society. And, if you just look on Instagram and you just type in bald, you'll see like there's just so many people that are, supportive of it. There's all these different communities. More and more people are posting about it. There's these bald meetups that are happening now. And so I just feel like we're starting to make this shift where it's becoming more and more accepted. And so I think timing wise, with starting NUDEMELON, I think it's the perfect time right now to be doing it.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is our unique Instagram algorithms, because when I push reels, it's just all bald. It's all bald heads
Yeah.
down the thing. But as someone who has also started a bald thing recently, it's I'm noticing, just like I'm sure you are, it's like, hey, there's all these bald people doing things out here and embracing being bald, and certainly we're fans of it, but we're not the only ones just shouting into a void.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I was talking to Justin about this past weekend about basically the same conversation about the acceptance of balding, and he said something that kind of stood out to me. So he was saying that it's not really different than like racial communities. Like, you have like your black community, your brown community, your Asian community, like all these different, your white community, like you have these different like racial community groups that, come together, whether it's for religious reasons or not religious reasons, whatever, but you kind of like identify as part of something. And balding's like not really any different. Like you walk by, you see a bald person, you're just like, you have that connection. Like you notice each other almost. And there's been so many times where even before I started NUDEMELON, like, you see someone bald and you talk about it and you just like, it just becomes a thing that you bond over. And so, yeah, I just think that, something that has always been viewed as a negative thing, I feel like it's starting to become just more and more accepted. And I really admire people who kind of are open about talking about it, sharing their journey, being vulnerable with it, and rocking it and owning it. Because like personally, I feel like it's actually like a good look. It wasn't something that I thought was a good look initially, and I think I was so like clouded, like by society and what like the perception of others and all that kind of stuff. And I really didn't want to be bald. Like I was trying to fight it for so long. Like I tried all of the like, all of the treatments or whatever, like the minoxidils, and I tried doing all the at-home remedies and therapies. Like I was squeezing onion juice on my head. I was like I was trying what was it, tea tree oils and like all the herbal stuff. I went for hair transplant consultations, but it took a while before I started to realize, I was like, you know what, like I think it's more of a mental thing for me at the time. And it was like, as long as if I can just get over this mentally, then I think I actually like that. It doesn't look bad, it's just it's a society like peer pressure kind of thing. And so once I kind of got over that and really started just like owning it, and it like I've not looked back, and I like the way it looks. So I just hope more people can kind of get to that point in their journey.
Yeah, I think it really is. It's a mental barrier that people have in their minds, because it's like you have this outsized sense of people will notice this as something irregular and socially undesirable, maybe. Whereas even let's just say we're not bald, because of course, as bald guys on a bald podcast, we're going to be like, oh my God, bald is so good, right? We look amazing, right? Because we do. But if you're a regular non-bald person and you look at Vin Diesel in the Fast and the Furious, you're not just like, man, that guy sure would be better if he had hair. Like no one actually says that. So we, as a society, we at the same time agree that bald people are cool. But then as an individual choice, some of us are like, other people can be bald, but not me. That can't be me. I'll have lost something.
Yeah.
But then when we actually go bald, we're like, I'm Vin Diesel now. Like, look how good I look.
Well, yeah, I just, look, if someone really wants to get a hair transplant, like go for it. Be my guest. Like if that makes you feel confident, do whatever makes you feel good, right? Like if you want to go get a hair transplant or SMP or, keep fighting it with Rogaine, like you do you. But I think a lot of people are doing it for the wrong reason. Like I think people are doing it because they're trying to just hold on to whatever look they previously had, or they're doing it because you know their partner or something wants them to have hair, or they feel uglier or whatever. Like they're just trying to like you know find a way to look a certain way to appeal others. Whereas I think what I think is beautiful, what I think is awesome is like the people who like go bald, and then they just because they, whether or not they wanted to, but then they embrace it and they own it and they feel happy with that decision and realize that, hey, this actually looks pretty good. And then they kind of are able to kind of like create not a new identity, but like redefine themselves as a person through the way they look, in their new form. When I met all these, people at the bald meetup in New York, there was girls, there was guys. Like it's harder for girls going bald, right? You don't see as many bald females, but the ones that were out there were awesome. They looked great. Their personalities were shining. It was it was just cool to see. And I hope more people do that.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed, because I've also been trying to pay attention to the female bald community, because I would love to have a bald lady on the show, is they do such a great job of lifting each other up, because I imagine it's much harder and usually not voluntary for women, especially with alopecia or chemotherapy or something. And it's
Yeah.
like that's already hard enough. But they do, at least in my outside observation, they do such a good job of lifting each other up and celebrating. Like they already have their own bald products. So
Yeah.
I think in some ways the female bald community has preceded the male bald community in terms of compassion and support and building awareness and lifting each other up and celebrating ourselves as individuals who are not identified by our hair, but as people who were just being who we are and accepting that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. There's I mean, a lot of when you think of balding, everyone's like the first thing people think of is like guys. But you start to realize it's yeah, yes, that is the majority, but there's so many other, like there's people also going through chemotherapy. There's people who do it who shave their heads for religious reasons, like monks, like they shave their heads all the time for religious purposes. And then you have like the alopecia, and there's some women who just like shave it because they actually just like the bald look. Like there was a girl that I met at bald meetup, like she could grow her hair if she wanted to, but she like she wanted to rock the bald look. So yeah, it's not just for the guys, I think the women are oftentimes forgot about, but there's a large group of people who are bald for different reasons beyond just male pattern baldness.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
we'll convince some people that they should join us. That this is the future. The future is bald, and we're trying to recruit as many people as possible.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So, could you tell me about NUDEMELON? Where did the idea come from? Maybe where did the name come from? And then, I mean, I feel like maybe you have a story. I don't know. And just take me through how you've gotten to this point to where you're a month away from launching, right?
Yeah, we're getting close. Really excited to launch this thing. So, NUDEMELON. So this is the bottle right here.
I love the font.
So have you heard of Liquid Death, the water company?
Yes. Yeah, I have.
So the guy who designed Liquid Death designed my bottles as well. Shout out to, his name's Andrew. He crushed it.
Cool.
So, yeah, I was just kind of designing it myself. I don't really have a design background, but I can mess around a little bit on Photoshop and stuff. So I was kind of branding it myself, and I thought it actually looked good, but it wasn't like good. It wasn't like, ready to be on the shelves good. And so I went on Upwork and I just typed in like a description of what I was looking for. And in that description, I actually put in like going for a liquid death kind of vibe with this brand. And, sure enough, I think it was like 24 hours later, I got a message from this guy, and he's like, funny enough, I actually worked on the branding for Liquid Death. And I just found him on Upwork. And so he's like, okay, well, let's have a call and let's like kind of talk about what you're trying to do. And so we had like a video chat. And he was down for the brand. Like he also has a buzz cut too. So he just like really liked kind of the mission behind NUDEMELON. And so yeah, we kind of hit it off, and we were working together. I think it took him probably like we did some back and forth, but probably about a month and a half. And yeah, we got he made the logo and he made the skull. So
Yeah, that's so cool. I see your t-shirts, and they look so cool. It's just this big skull, and I feel like it really catches your eye.
So the idea behind the skull is that, so initially, like the way I had branded it was I drew a silhouette of Kobe Bryant's head, because Kobe Bryant was like one of my idols growing up. And it was just like a silhouette of his head. But then Andrew went with the skull because of a conversation that we had. And I said something along the lines of, underneath all of our hair is a skull, and we all kind of like identify with a skull, whether it doesn't matter what stage of the balding process you are. You could be, partial, like Norwood scale 2, you could be Norwood scale 7. It doesn't matter, but underneath it all is the skull. And so he kind of rolled with that and went skull mode with this. And I really kind of like the story behind that. Because that's ultimately what NUDEMELON's all about. It's just about like kind of, embracing your balding, whatever stage you're at. Like, I'm selling skincare, but I'm really selling bald identity is kind of my mentality here. And so on one hand, it's like, yes, let's put together the best skincare products we can, but more so I want to try to build this community and just, make balding more accepting in the world. So, yeah, that was the idea behind the skull. And then the name NUDEMELON, actually took way longer than you might think. Like I probably went through hundreds of names first before landing on NUDEMELON. I had a bunch of different ideas. But you kind of have, like, when you're thinking of names, you also want to make sure you get the Instagram handles, like all the social handles. You want to make sure your website domain, like everything can match. So there was a few names, I don't even remember them off the top of my head anymore, but there's a few names I know that I liked. But all of the URLs were taken, or the Instagram handles were taken, so I couldn't use them. And then I don't know, like I think I just, like, someone said, like, I think someone made a comment about like my head being like, they made the relation between a head and a melon. Like sometimes you call your head a melon. And it just kind of hit me in that moment. I was like, no hair on the melon, NUDEMELON. And that kind of just like, it just kind of rolled off the tongue nicely. And I was like, NUDEMELON. I feel like that could be a thing. So that's how I came up with the name.
And I feel like the word nude, I've never said this out loud before. I feel like the word nude is a good skincare tag word, if you will, because it sort of implies, it's like there's not extra stuff there. It's just like the bare minimum, but like in a good way, like it's a nude melon. Like it's okay.
It feels like raw and authentic and just like, yeah, I get what you're saying. That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally relate with the URL thing, because man, I have to be the baldest _, on everything because someone has the baldest and they don't even use it, So
yeah, no, it sucks. Like that's the hard part. And if you want to just have like everything in your socials and URLs and everything kind of just like match and align, then it becomes really, really difficult when you're starting any brand. Doesn't matter what it is. And I was kind of lucky that NUDEMELON wasn't taken anywhere. So I was able to kind of lock in on everything. And I'm stoked about it. I'm excited to launch it. So it'll be good. Yeah. First product is a bald shampoo. So it's basically a replacement for what bald people are currently using. So question for you, what do you use on your head in the shower? when you're washing
A
your
couple times a week, I use like an exfoliator that I
yeah.
get from Aldi because Aldi's my favorite store. And well, other than that, I'm just using like Dove, just like gentle bar soap.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was like going through the balding process, I was always thinking to myself, I'm like, what do I like? What am I supposed to use if I don't have any hair? You know, like, because like shampoo, I was like reading the bottles and it's like, this is for like, you know, curly hair, straight hair, wavy hair. Like, there's all these hair products, shiny hair, silky hair. Like, what about if you have no hair? What are you supposed to use like for your scalp? Like, you know, when you know, if I go for a workout or if I, you know, I'm sweating a lot, or even if I just like shave, you know, I want something that's like somewhat exfoliating just to get all that grime and stuff off my scalp. And if I'm just using like just a regular, you know, shampoo or body wash, it's not really like it's not really getting all of that stuff off. It's just like I'm just like lathering this soapy thing on my head and washing it off. And maybe that's good for hair, but I never thought it was like optimal for your scalp. And so I started just like going down this rabbit hole of kind of like looking into what a scalp actually needs. And so it needs like a little bit of exfoliation. It needs cleansing. You want it to feel like hydrated. And you know, none of the products that most bald people are currently using account for all of those things, right? So I kind of wanted to make a custom product that does. And initially I was kind of making it for myself. Like I was like, what do I want? Like as a bald person, like what is my ideal product that I would use every day in the shower? So I probably spent, you know, close to 2 years formulating the shampoo. So it has exfoliation through, there's bamboo powder in here. So you can actually feel like a little bit of grittiness to the shampoo, but it's not like irritating. Like I didn't want like too much exfoliation. Otherwise it's going to like, especially after a shave, like you don't really want that. So it's like just the right amount of exfoliation. And then it's really just like hydrating, it's cleansing, like even the texture. Like I went back and forth with my formulator just to make sure the texture felt right. So there was a lot of work that kind of went into this shampoo, and it was designed for a bald scalp. So even the pH of your scalp is different than the pH of the rest of the skin on your body, right? So we kind of accounted for that with this formula too, just to make it like, what if you were to have the most optimal thing in the shower to use as you're cleaning your head, like what would that be? And that's what this is. So.
And you could use it every day, right? Because with like with the exfoliators, especially the facial ones, they tend to be very coarse and gritty. And I mean, it'll exfoliate your head, but you don't want to be doing that every day.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is meant to be an everyday kind of cleanser. It's supposed to be, you know, your replacement for your body wash or your shampoo or whatever you're currently using. And that was the thing that I noticed. So actually, like I've been going out on the street pretty regularly and just, you know, talking to bald people and just doing a little customer discovery, kind of seeing what they're using on their head in the shower. And, you know, honestly, probably like 99 out of 100 people are just using random shit on their head, you know, whether it's, you know, their girlfriend's shampoo, or I actually met one person who said they use dish soap, like kitchen dish soap, because they're like, oh, it's just like it's like all I got. So I just like take some dish soap and I put it in my like a separate container, and like that's what I use on my head. I'm like, dude, like what? So I'm like, dude, I feel like bald people have been just like neglected, you know, for so long. No one, I mean, there's very few companies out there that are making products for bald people. And most of the time, people don't even know that these companies exist. Like there's no household name, you know, product for or company for bald people. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, if there's this big group of people that are using random stuff on their head, they don't really know what they're supposed to use. A lot of them haven't even thought about this as being like an issue. But they want something. Like at the end of the day, like all of these people want to feel accepted, and they want to feel like companies are supporting them in their journeys. And so for, you know, all of these, actually every single person that I've talked to on the street, they love this idea so much because they're like, look, like that, this actually makes so much sense. Like there's nothing for us, you know, like I would 100% use this. So it's been really cool to just kind of see their reactions. I've never like, I used to work in venture capital, so kind of like investing in startups and things like that. And to see kind of the level of traction that this has been getting so far is pretty cool. Like I've met people on the street and in the same day have been like, do you want to just come up to my apartment and like jump in the shower so I can film content of you like showering with NUDEMELON? And like random people that I've met one time will like come up to my apartment and just like shower so I can film them for content, which is like insane to think about.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. So I'm like, if that's not validation for a product, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, because I was at the grocery store yesterday, and well, I knew I was going to be talking to you today, and I know about most of the bald products that are on the market. Most of them you have to buy online, and I went to the shaving aisle, and yeah, there's nothing for bald people. So, but like you said, talking to bald people, it's like, well, we need this. So where is it? And I think it's amazing that one, that you've created this thing, but two, people are super excited about using it because one question I see online all the time, and I swear I'm going to finish an episode about like what happens how to become bald and then how to, sort of like FAQs or whatever, is people like, well, what do I use? What do I put on my head? Do I use shampoo? Do I use dish soap? Do I use, how often? People have all these questions that are thinking about becoming bald. And I just think it kind of creates like a little bit of a barrier that prevents them to fully committing. Because if you're an overthinker like me, it's like, well, I can't go bald until I have all the information.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think the more kind of, I actually think that it helps being like if it was like a Gillette, or something that came out with a bald division of their company. Actually, I think they did. I think that actually I kind of somewhat remember they had like a bald. Let me look it up. Actually, I'm curious. There was a Gillette had a bald thing. I think they discontinued it. Yeah, it's called Bald Head Care Gillette Baldy. I don't even know how popular these things are, but like I don't know. Like I think if you're a bald person like myself or you, and you're going out and doing like all that grassroots kind of like stuff, going to bald meetups and like really just trying to build the community side of things, I think that's what the bald people want. And so I think it goes back to my earlier point of like, they're buying skincare, but they're wanting to buy into a community, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you can't build one without the other. I think you need both. And so I think if you're like a bigger company, it's hard to put in the resources to building the community side of things. And so I think both are like, yeah, again, equally important. Because as much as people want a good scalp care routine, they also want to feel part of something. And my whole thing about NUDEMELON is that, bald people are a neglected market. Again, nobody really makes anything for us. And so I think that element of wanting to fit in and feel like there's, some brand, some company, some person that is like building stuff for this group of people is really important to the bald community.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've come a long way from the 90s where being bald was kind of a joke, right? Seinfeld was a whole show about a character being bald. And we've moved away from that towards, I didn't know about the bald subreddit until like last year, and it's massive now. And
yeah, that thing's huge.
yeah, and it's an amazing human creation that we just have all these people saying, well, here's me being really vulnerable. And then a bunch of people are like, that's okay, we'll catch you. And then they do. And then I feel like everyone then wants to kind of pay it forward and say, okay, now I'm bald and it's fine. How can I help someone else get to where we are? And let's just continue to connect bald people with each other. So that way we can sort of get rid of this stigma of like, oh, being bald's the end of the world. Because I see comments like that all the time too. I'm just going to go to Turkey and I'm just going to get whatever. And it's like, why?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's like, if you want to, like, I have friends and family that, have gone to Turkey, they do their thing and they feel great after. And I like, for me, that's all I care about, is like, I want people just to feel happy and confident in whatever, however they choose to do it. Um, but again, like, I think that a lot of them are doing it for reason, like, I feel like a lot of them don't need to do it. Like, they could just be bald and they would rock it and they would feel great, if they just allowed themselves to. Um, but they're like, everyone's trying to fight it, and that's what I hate the most, is like this, like, feeling like balding is a problem, and like, okay, we need to fight it. Like every other company, like, there's this whole hair growth industry that all they're trying to do is cure balding, as if it's like some disease that's terrible. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I don't think so. And I think that we need to kind of change that narrative and create this shift where, we make it okay for people to be bald, so that they don't feel like they have to fight it. And I think that's, I think that's really important.
Yeah, I really enjoyed like the promo you have on your website is just like, yeah, fuck you to the hair growth industry. Like I really love that. I was like, I can't wait to talk to this guy. But I think that the hair growth industry, in order for them to thrive, because it's like a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, if you talk, in the whole scope of it, all they have is, well, we need to demonize being bald. Because if they're like,
Yeah.
well, just if you want to, like, that's not going to sell product, right? If you're
No.
like, being bald's fine too, like they don't want to hear that. So they only have one narrative to push. It's not like getting a hair transplant makes you healthier. It's not like these are real, it's just purely cosmetic. So you need to convince
Yeah.
people that somehow this is you're going to feel more confident, and the ladies, they'll be all over you with your new hair. So in order to sort of keep themselves going, they have to push us down. So I think it's great that we're like, no, we're pushing ourselves up now.
Yeah. They're preying on our insecurities. They're hoping that we feel shitty about going bald so that we can try and use their products or use their solutions or whatever. And I think that's where part of the problem lies. And a big part of the problem is just like that narrative that's being pushed so hard in our face. Like we're, like, everywhere you look, it's like, get a hair transplant, go to Turkey, do this, do that. But you don't hear enough of the other side about, like, hey, well, what if you just came and just joined the bald community? Like, what if you just shaved your head off, or your hair off, and don't shave your head off, shave your hair off. But yeah, like, what if you just did that and owned it? Like, not enough people talk about that. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I live in Chicago, well, outside Chicago, and right by the O'Hare Airport, they have billboards that are all about like hair restoration. And they call like O'Hare, OHAIR, and there's tons of them. So every time I drive past that, I'm like, damn, look at this hair propaganda that they're trying to push on
Hair
us.
propaganda. Yeah.
If you are enjoying this episode, please subscribe wherever you are listening or watching. I really appreciate it. The goal of this podcast is simple: to share stories of bald people doing amazing things and help change the way we think about baldness. And if you know someone who's struggling with hair loss, please share this with them. You never know who might need to hear it. All right, let's get back to Azar. What have you learned about talking to all these bald people about the bald community and where it's heading?
I don't know about where it's heading, but I think I think it's, like, I kind of mentioned it before. I think it's growing in terms of like the acceptance of balding. I think that's just growing. And so I guess the world that I would like to see in like 10 years from now is a world where, more and more people are feeling like this is a normal option for them to be doing, as opposed to feeling like they have to fight it, like we were just talking about, and trying to go and get hair transplants and this and that and whatever other solution, that exists. I kind of would like to see, and I think I'm starting to see the start of, a world where we're making it more and more accepted. So I hope to see that trend kind of continue. But based on my conversations with people, like I think that's kind of the vibe that I've been getting. Both people with hair and people who are bald. Like, a lot of people who have hair are even saying like, that they like love their bald friends. So I think as long as more and more people are starting to accept it and encourage it, then that's how we take down that hair propaganda that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I really hope something does change because I how old were you when you started losing your hair?
Oh, good question. I was really young. I probably like my hair was thinning like even before I went to university. Like probably like
Hmm.
grade 12. Like I was probably like 19 years old when it was like really thinning, but it wasn't like I wasn't bald. Like I was just like it was like my hair was really thinning. It was noticeably thinning. And then it was probably by 23, 24 where it was like pretty significantly bad. Um, and I think I was 24, 25 maybe when I just decided to shave it. I was on an exchange semester in Portugal. So I did it then because I was like, nobody knows me here. Like that was my
Hmm.
thought process. I was like, I'm going away for 4 months. I literally know nobody. So might as well try it out and see kind of how I like it and see what happens. And I shaved it off and I immediately like actually I like it was one of the most like freeing moments of my life because for so long I was just thinking about it and like like my thinning hair and like trying to like cover up the bald spots and whatever, and then I finally shaved and I was like, now I don't have to worry about this anymore. This is dope. And probably like I was stoked for 24 hours and then the next day I was like back. I was like depression mode. I was like, fuck, like, I actually did it. Like I should, now I don't have any hair anymore. And so I went through that kind of process of like kind of trying to be okay with it. And I wasn't okay with it for a while, even though like it actually, like if I look back at old photos, like I think it looked good, but in the moment I was like, no, I need my hair back. And so that's why I was like still trying to fight it, trying to fight it, trying to fight it. And, um, you know, yeah, and then I reshaved it off like a few years later. So I let it grow back and everything. Um, and then I just shaved it off again a couple years later and then never regrew it again.
Because one thing that I think unites us bald men is that most of us went through the painful part, and I think it's you mentioned earlier how bald people could be likened to any ethnic group, right? It's we have this shared experience where, oh man, high school, early 20s, I'm losing my hair, and then this conversation starts in your head that you're probably not even having with other people in real life. And then it just keeps going and it keeps going and it keeps building till eventually you do something about it. And then when you do, you're like, okay, well, great. I'm bald now. So
Hmm.
I would love for people to hear people like us having that conversation and saying, hey, if you're having this conversation in your head, either go talk to a bald person or it's okay. You can just shave it and you'll be fine. And look at this. We have some fantastic skincare products for you.
Well, that's huge. What you just said is like when I was going through the balding process. I don't know what it was like for you, but maybe you can let me know. But like, it was like very like I felt isolated. Like
Mm.
I was just going through it alone, and all of my feel like I didn't even want to talk about it to people. It was like I kept a lot of the emotions to myself as I was kind of going through it, and I like I wish that there was like a community or like they have this Reddit thing online, but even more like I don't even know if that was a thing at the time, like when I was going through it, but I don't even know if I would have posted in it, like to be honest. But if there was just like a more of like a just like a high vibes like community that was just like fully accepting about balding, that was like I would have probably wanted to try to see if I like to try to be a part of it. Um, and I think that would have helped. And I think for a lot of people that are going through it right now, I feel like they're in that, like a lot of my friends now are kind of going through the balding process, which I've had 10 years on them now. but like they're going through what I went through before. And so just to be able to talk to someone about it, even to make a joke about it, like even just to just like lighten the mood a little bit, I think all of that's like kind of important for anyone who's kind of going through it, just to like kind of like allow them to have that space to talk about it and express themselves and know that they're not alone. And so, yeah, anything like, yeah, again, like this is a community that I'm building as much as it is a skincare brand. And so I want to have a space where people can come in and talk and, share videos and share content around their journey of balding so that more and more people can kind of feel accepting of it.
Yeah. And I don't think at least I wasn't aware of the community. I think I'm going, I mean, my whole 20s, I was like, it was past time. But yeah, I was really going through it in like my late 20s, early 30s. And I didn't, I felt isolated, just like you said. It's like, nope, this is no one could possibly understand what
Yeah.
I'm going through right now, even though people have been balding for thousands and thousands of years now. So yeah, if you just, randomly, I think one thing I hope that happens is I hear from guys that are worried about losing their hair, their algorithm learns that, and then it's like, here's the hair transplant, here's the micropigmentation, here's the whatever. And I would love for them to instead be fed your stuff or Justin or all these other great bald brands that are doing these things. And then they'll say, wait a minute, people are shaving their head in the middle of New York City just
Yeah.
so they can be like the rest of these people. And that means that when I choose to go bald, then it's going to be okay, because look at all these people just doing it, as opposed to, hey, you better get your ticket to Turkey and go get it taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. There needs to be more content for sure driven towards this side of things. Cause yeah, the propaganda is like pretty overwhelming for the hair growth industry is like really pushing this stuff down your throats. Like even in my algorithm, like, I'm like the opposite of the hair growth industry, but I'm still getting like like when I'm looking on Instagram, it's like SMP tattoos, like, go hair transplant in Turkey. Like even I'm getting that. Like I think it's just you mentioned that there's other bald focused brands, but when you actually look at it, there's not that many. Like there's like a handful, like in
Yeah,
the whole entire
I think
world.
I can count on one
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's not a lot. And so, it's an area where I feel like is ripe for disruption a little bit. I feel like, if you're able to come in and just like, you know, yeah, kind of you have the right branding and the marketing and the messaging and everything kind of like fits together and you just like come in, guns blazing. I feel like it's one of those industries that you can just kind of disrupt and take over. And so I'm hoping I can do that with NUDEMELON and kind of create that.
Well, I think so. I've said a few times that this is like a new wave of baldness.
Yeah.
And I've been reading Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act. And one thing he talks about is that the universe decides when an idea is ready to come to light. And some people hear it first. But not everyone acts on it. So if something comes out and it's like, oh, I had an idea for that, 5 years ago or whatever, that means that certain people did not act, and now it's time for that thing. And I feel like in the bald community anyway, this is the time for these things to happen. I mean, I wasn't really expecting, when I was like, oh, I'm just going to have a podcast about being bald or whatever, that I would be able to talk to someone like you who's also building something around baldness and say, oh, no, this is a new thing. We're changing the narrative, which is what Justin says,
Mhm.
around baldness, and changing and building a community of people that have this shared experience to better support them and ourselves.
Well, let me share a story. So it goes along, like it has to do with this bald meetup that just happened. So I reached out to Justin. It was the day before he was doing his one in Seattle, his bald meetup, and I was like, man, I feel like we should do more of these. Like it was his first one that he was doing in Seattle, and so I was like, look, I'm launching this like skincare brand for bald people. I want to get involved on another one. And so we ended up planning this New York one. And I'd probably 2 weeks before talking to Justin, this guy, his name's Jordan. He reached out to me on LinkedIn because he saw in my LinkedIn bio I had like building NUDEMELON, and I guess he clicked into it, saw what it was, and he sent me a DM. He's like, dude, like this is so cool. Like, could I like, do you want to just set up a 15-minute chat or something? I just want to learn a little bit more about what you're doing. So I'm like, sure. So I had this chat with him, and he was from New York. And so I had this conversation. He was just really fired up. He does street interviews. Like that's his job. He just does street interviews for brands. And so he was like, how can I get involved with NUDEMELON? Can I do some street interviews for you? And so we had this conversation. Then I talked to Justin 2 weeks later about the Seattle meetup and if he wanted to do another one. And so that's where the New York one came in. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, we're going to New York. This Jordan guy was from New York. Maybe I'll reach out to Jordan and see if he wants to get involved. So I reached out to Jordan. I'm like, dude, we're coming to New York to do this bald meetup. Like, do you want to get involved? Also, could we just crash at your place for a couple nights for this weekend? And he was like, dude, 100%, like come over. And I've never met either Justin or Jordan in my life, like except for like 15 minutes on a Zoom call with Jordan. And with Justin, I hadn't even met him, like not even virtually. It was just through Instagram DMs. And so the fact that we were all able to just kind of come together virtually, and he had never met Justin, that was the other thing. And so I asked, I was like, can Justin also stay over at your place in New York? And so we were all able to like kind of come together through this like bald connection that we had. Like we would have had to spend, a few $100s on, nights at a hotel or whatever in New York. And instead, not only did we get, free nights to stay, but it was like we were able to, I have a new friend now. Jordan's awesome. He took us out to, he showed us some of the good local spots to eat. We went for a workout at Chelsea Piers, down in New York. And then he came out to the bald meetup and supported. And yeah, it was just like, it was such a fun time. And like, none of this would have been possible if the community, like, yeah, if the three of us just didn't come together and just vibe together and just connect over being bald. So, yeah, I think that was pretty cool.
No, that is so cool. And I think as bald people, we just sort of instinctively have that. I when I was talking to Justin, I was like, we were just kind of talking about, how bald people have this sort of, how this community is kind of growing or whatever. And I was like, if I reached out to you and I was just some random guy and I was like, oh, come on my podcast, would you come on? He's like, no. And I was like, but because we're bald, it's like, yeah, of course I'll come on. You know what I mean? It's because it's such a small community. It's we just feel like, yeah, of course, like let's just make it happen because we're coming from this genuine great place, right? We all want the same thing for our people, if you will, and we're trying to do a service for everybody. And yeah, I think it's been so cool. I mean, I saw the picture of you two standing together on a rooftop. I'm like, I know both of those guys, and I've never even met those guys. It was like that was a crazy moment for me to see that, and I was like, man, this is actually working. This is taking off.
Yeah. That was the first time I met Justin, was on that, like just before that rooftop, and that was at Jordan's place. So that was the rooftop of his apartment, and we did our little jersey swap up there. So, yeah, it was cool. And I saw your comment too, where you're like, the last guy on my podcast and the next guy on my podcast, and I'm like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's wild stuff, man. I did want to talk a little bit more about your entrepreneur side. What has been the hardest part? Well, I don't know if it's specific to NUDEMELON, but what is the hardest part of building a company?
It's a good question. So I guess with NUDEMELON, the hardest part has been probably the fact that this is a new space for me. Like I don't come from a skincare cosmetic kind of background. And I've never done really like CPG. Like I've never like sold products like this specifically. So there was like a pretty big learning curve. Even just like things like simple things like, with labeling for the bottle. Like you have to have like, because I'm selling in Canada, so you have to have English and French. There's like all these like little rules that you have to keep in mind when you're building, your packaging. Even like the size of the text has to be a certain size. You have to have certain language on here. So you have to have like, you're supposed to say made in Canada if it's made in Canada, if you're shipping into the States, because they like look at that when products are being imported. The ingredients like have to be listed in a very specific way. And so all of these things are just like things that I would have never known about. And what's been really helpful is ChatGPT, Claude, like all these AI tools. Sometimes I refer to them as my co-founders because I refer to them so frequently as I'm trying to figure things out, and they're not always right. Like you have to be like kind of mindful of, of that stuff too. And you have to double check and do all your kind of due diligence. But, I think just like that learning curve of doing something completely new and different, and kind of learning the intricacies of, the domain that you're working within. In this case, it's skincare, and just like making sure that you kind of have all your ducks in a row and make sure you're all set. I think that's been something that I really have to be organized as I'm kind of going through this. Because I can't afford to kind of screw it up. Like I ordered 10,000 of these bottles, like for my launch. And if I got something wrong on the label, then I'm screwed, because I can't just order 10, like I can't just order 10,000 and then be like, oh, okay, well now I need to edit it. So, I spent so long trying to make sure that everything was up to standards. I even hired a regulatory agency to kind of like double check my work and whatever research I'd done, just kind of to confirm that everything was supposed to be the way it was supposed to. So yeah, I think that was kind of like probably the biggest hurdle for me, at least so far with this brand particularly.
And I feel like any new endeavor that you're gonna embark on, right? I mean, if you grew up around skincare, then you're like, yeah, of course there's all these regulatory things, but you've been sort of forced to learn a million little things before you can, well, I actually just want to sell it. I just want to sell a bottle of this. I want to sell a bottle of this stuff to people. But it's like there's the million little checks that you have to make before that actually happens.
Yeah, there's so many. And this has all been fun for me. Like I haven't been stressing too much. I had other businesses in the past where they were more stressful. But I really like this one because the whole vibe around it is like, it's fun for me. Like I'm doing it. Like I'm not thinking too much about the, I don't know. I'm not thinking like, yes, there's risk, but I'm not thinking as much about it. And I think part of it is that like I have a little bit of freedom now to be able to kind of build this brand without feeling like all my eggs are in one basket. But for me, it's just like every day, like this is just like I'm enjoying this process as I'm kind of going through it. And so every day it hasn't really felt like work. It's felt more like fun to me. Even like going to this bald meetup, like at no point did I feel like it was work. I was like, I got to go hang out with these two cool guys, meet a bunch of cool people, talk about my skincare brand and, get some cool content and, see where things go. And so I've really just been trying to enjoy this process. When I was younger, I started this other company where it required a lot larger of an upfront investment. And like my dad was also involved in that company as well. And so I just felt like there was a lot on the line and I didn't have much to lose at that time either. Like I was fresh out of university. And so pretty much I just put all of my money into this thing. And then COVID happened. And that business ended up closing down because our supply chain kind of got screwed up because of COVID. And like it took me some time to recover from that. But with this one, like I don't feel that same kind of sense of pressure, or I don't feel like if this completely flopped for whatever reason, like it's not the end of the world for me. But yeah, it's just I'm just enjoying the process with it.
Well, it shows. I mean, your promos are fun. Your social media is great. I'm always enjoying it.
I got some good ones lined up.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
What was the feeling like at the Bald meetup? Maybe so specifically for you, how did you feel there, and what do you think was the general feeling at the Bald meetup?
Everyone was just so nice and like awesome and supportive and just like, you know, willing to talk and be vulnerable about their journeys, and like everyone's just super open. Like there was no barrier, you know, like it wasn't like, you know, sometimes people are guarded about their emotions and their feelings and whatever, especially with something like balding. But, you know, yeah, everyone there was just like so just open to talking, just so chill. The vibes were good. You know, people were like, "Oh, where's the after party at?" Like they wanted to hang out after and stuff too. So it was just like a good vibe, good people, even just people who weren't there, because we did it at Washington Square Park. So it was just like a busy location. Regardless of whether we were having this bald meetup or not, there was just tons of people around. And so you had all these other people who had no idea what was going on, but they were just like, you know, supporting and just there and videotaping and like cheering and all this kind of stuff. So I think just like it cumulatively, like with everyone there, just like it was just such a good, positive, just like high vibes environment. So that was the vibe that I got while I was there. It was just like just the energy, you know, it was just like everyone's energy was kind of radiating and bouncing off of each other, and people were getting fired up. You know, I've been getting Instagram DMs from people who I met there being like, I'm still riding the high from, you know, the bald meetup. And yeah, I've never been to one of these things before. I've actually never been to, I don't think, any meetup ever. Like I'm not like, I don't go to meetups. And so I didn't even know what to expect from something like this, but it definitely like far exceeded my expectations. The only thing, you know, that I wish, because I'm so early in starting this brand, like I got my bottles, you can see here, like I got my first shipment of NUDEMELON bottles last week. They arrived at my house like probably 3 days before, maybe not even, I think it was like 2 or 3 days before Bald Meetup, like me leaving to New York for Bald Meetup. So I didn't even know if I would even have these to take with me. But I wish I had like, yeah, more help while I was there. Because I ended up like trying to do everything myself. But again, it's early days. So, you know, I was out there like giving out samples, trying to like talk to as many people as I could, you know, doing that melon eating contest. And I just wish there was like more of me around to like kind of help talk to more people and like spread the word and like kind of just like build, you know, yeah, have more conversations within the community. And so, yeah, but otherwise it was just awesome, dude. It was good. I wish you were there.
Right? Yeah. Oh my God, me too. I know. Well, I'm like,
Yeah.
when's the next one? When's the next one? I'm like, come on, let's go to
Well,
LA.
I know where, I mean, Justin's definitely wanting to do more of these. So he's gonna, I don't want to speak for him, but he's got some things cooking. I want to do one in Vancouver. So I'm, I'm from Vancouver originally. And I wanna host a bald meetup for my launch of my product, like in Vancouver. So I'll talk to Justin as well and see if we can plan something like that in August. But I think he's planning a few other things, even later later in July. But I don't want to say anything because I don't know if he's trying to keep it a secret or what. So
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit on the podcast. I mean, it's too early to say, right? It's, you know, there's what you want to do, and then there's kind of what's actually going to happen. So it's, I imagine someone who was not part of the planning of this bald meetup, that there's a lot of work that goes into organizing an event for hundreds of people.
yeah, I mean, Justin, you know, he was doing a good job of, you know, getting sponsors and things to kind of help run the event, but uh, and then he created that Partiful link that it ended up trending in New York. So a lot of people like, it was like number 4 trending event on Partiful. So a lot of people just like found it organically through that. And then of course Justin has been like promoting this thing hard, and like, yeah, he was putting in a lot of work, you know, getting sponsors and getting people to show up and like provide, you know, different contests and things like that for the event. So he did an awesome job. But yeah, like he only had like maybe 3 weeks to put this on. Like he didn't have a lot of time. So that was the other thing, was he was able to do a lot in a little, like not a lot of time. He had the Seattle one on June 1st and they had this one on June 27th. So like literally 3 weeks kind of to plan and organize this event. And we were able to get like a pretty sizable turnout.
Damn, what a guy. I didn't even realize, I never did the math that the Seattle one was the first and then it was the 27th. And that's a quick, on the other side of the country, no less. That is a quick turnaround.
Justin's great. Justin's like Justin's for the people. You know, he does this just for like, he really enjoys just like putting on just high vibes, high quality events like this. And he just wants to create an environment where bald people are able to come together and just have fun. And that's like, that's the only thing he's thinking about when he's putting on these events, is just like, how can I create, you know, just an awesome experience for every bald person that comes to this event. And so I think just like that, having that mindset, and then combined with, he's like a grinder, you know, he'll just do what needs to get done in order to make the event possible. And yeah, I know he was looking into permits, and he was trying to get the Guinness World Record thing situation. And then he was trying to get sponsors, and he was trying to organize the event. So yeah, event planning's not easy. And so for him to kind of put something like that together in a few weeks was pretty awesome. And then he's just, on top of everything, just a super nice dude. So yeah, it was cool to meet him in person.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting him in person. But yeah, the next
you're Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah. So I'm like, let's do one here. Like we're dead center of the country, so convenient location.
How far is Chicago from New York? It's not that far, is it?
It's like a 13-hour drive.
Okay.
So it's not the furthest, but you know, we're right in the middle. So, but I more selfishly, I want an excuse to go out to California. So I'm like, let's just do one in LA. I really want to go out there. So, but I mean,
a lot of people have been commenting about LA. So, you know, it's like, if you look in his posts and stuff of the Bald Meetup, like stuff that he's been posting, people are like, when's the one in LA happening? When's the one? So I feel like that would be a good one to run for sure.
Yeah. And is Vancouver, is that, what part of Canada is that?
That's West Coast.
Oh yeah, because you're Pacific. So yeah, that would be a straight shot down for you.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, I depend. It all depends on timing for me. This July and even the start of August, like, is really, really busy. Justin was originally thinking of doing the New York event in July, but my weekends are pretty back to back busy this whole month coming up. So if he is going to do one in, you know, let's say LA, in July sometime, I'm not even sure if I could make it. But I do want to do a Vancouver one. So I'm going to talk to him about that and see if he's down to kind of get involved in making one of those happen. But either way, I'm probably going to plan one for Vancouver in August, just so I can launch my product. And but I want to get Justin involved for sure. And you're invited too. But
I would love to.
Yeah, if you want to come out to Vancouver, let me know. You have a place to stay.
Oh, that would be awesome, man. I really want to, you know, I feel like I'm trapped in this studio. You know what I mean? I want to get out there. I want to get around some bald people.
Yeah, it'd be good for your pod. You'd meet so many people. Yeah,
I think so.
What are you thinking? Like, how are you thinking of growing? Like, what are your plans for growing your pod?
Well, I'm just gonna say, as someone who's like less than a month in, like, I can't believe any of this is happening. Like, this is all so sort of beyond what I expected to happen. So I'm like, I didn't plan for this, you know, but I think it's just, I really want my show to be about, there are bald people on this planet there, and a lot of them are doing really cool things, and let's talk to them and hear what they have to say. So I would love to go to bald meetups and meet with people. I'm constantly trying to find potential future guests, because bald people as a group are doing really cool things. So that's just kind of it. I mean, I guess I haven't thought too far ahead, because like my next like 4 weeks, I have a guest every week, and I never thought that would happen, I thought, okay, I knew there was a guy at work. He'll come on my podcast. He's bald. And then after that, I was like, well, whatever. And then it's like, but now, I've talked to Justin. I talked to you, and I mean, there's thousands of amazing bald people on this planet, and now I just want to talk to all of them.
Yeah, dude. I like what you're doing. I think there's a lot of people that would be down to join your pod. I know you were even saying you're looking for a girl who's bald who might want to talk. And I met a few at the bald meetup, so I'm happy to put you guys in touch, and maybe they want to jump on as well. But I just think that, you asked me the question of like, where do you see, the bald community going towards? And I think you're kind of, I think just like the fact that you just said you started this a month ago and you didn't expect to be at the stage you're at already, and you already have, 4 guests lined up, for the next 4 weeks. I think that alone is kind of telling, just the fact that there's this like rally around this community, and, being able to kind of tap into that and provide value to that group of people is, I think it's awesome what you're doing. So props to you.
Well, thanks, man. It's been crazy. This is just what I do all day now. This is what I do all day. So, I feel like a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit as well, because I would love to make this is just what I do for as long as I can possibly do it, and it's been so cool so far to just see, outside of my own perspective, to just look at all of the other great ball people who are doing such cool things. It's been very encouraging to me that, oh man, there's just so much going on that I think non-bald people are aware of. But
Yeah.
clearly there's something with, that the people that we know are all seeing kind of the same things, where it's like, oh no, we're on the up now. Things are going to get even better for the bald community.
Yeah, I think so, man. There's a guy in New York. Let me make sure I don't screw up his Instagram tag, but he just created a song. I think it was just the other day for bald people. I think he called it "Bald Boy Summer."
Oh my God, what's that guy's name? I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Is it the bald head, big body? I'm a hottie. That guy?
No, that's a different guy. That's
I love that guy.
That's James. That's James. I think his name's James G or something. Let's see. Yeah, that's James G. I'm a hottie, bald head, big body.
Yeah. Great song.
Yeah, that one's good. I reached out to him too. I'm gonna send him a bottle of NUDEMELON. But there's this other guy. I'm gonna find him.
You still look so cool with the sunglasses on. That has not. I'm still impressed.
Yeah, man, dude, the Meta Ray-Bans, baby.
Now I gotta get a pair. What if that's the way bald is going? We're all just wearing Meta Ray-Bans all day, day long, recording ourselves and each other, because our heads are so bright. We need shades.
Okay, his name is Walking Dagger. Have you heard of him?
Yes, I think he's the one who does the head touches.
Yeah. There's another guy who does. There's a guy named Matt Hefner.
Okay,
and I think he's like based out of Atlanta, and I don't know if he was the first guy to be doing the head touches, but he's known for his head touches. And then I feel like, yeah, this guy does head touches too, but he was also like, there's a few of his videos where he was like, I think he was doing like bald diggers or something. Like he was
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he's like walking, and then just like girls are following him, and he's like, bald diggers.
There's another guy who does more other bald digger videos. I don't know who started all of these things. They're all like jumbled together at this point. But yeah, this Walking Dagger guy, he was at the New York event. He has like 50 something thousand followers on Instagram, and he's like really leaning into the bald kind of content, and he just created a song called, I think it's called Bald Boy Summer. Let me just confirm that.
Well, I'm gonna have to talk to this guy.
Bald Boy Summer. Can you hear that? Could you hear that?
Yeah,
when it was playing?
I could hear it.
Okay, that was it. Yeah, well, that was his song. So Bald Boy Summer. So I think he just came out with it. I added his song on my reel that I posted for the Bald Meetup. But yeah, just like, dude, there's just so many cool things happening in the bald community. And so like you coming up with the podcast, these guys going out and making content, whether it's the head bonks or whether it's like making music for the bald people, James G's doing it too, making products for us. Like I just feel like we're kind of in this point where I feel like we're just like in the early stages of just like some really cool stuff coming up for the bald people, and so yeah, I'm just excited to be part of it.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the next bald meetups. I mean, I hope that everybody who didn't go, myself included, feels like we missed out, and we're going to demand another bald meetup until we all end up at a bald meetup at some point in our
Yeah,
lives.
we'll make it happen. I've been telling Justin, I'm like, I think we're gonna have to make this New York one an annual one. Like I like New York's, first of all, such a great city, and the people showed out. It was raining. It was like we were kind of worried initially. We were like, are people even going to show up? Because it was like raining that day, and we were expecting sun. And yeah, the city of New York, still showed up. Rain or shine. Luckily, it didn't rain too hard, and it kind of like stopped halfway through. But it was raining during the event, and nobody cared. Everyone was just out there having a good time. The New York Times was out there reporting. We actually got featured in the Guardian newspaper, Nude Melon, for our
Nice.
melon eating contest. So that was kind of dope. That was a nice feature for us as well. But yeah, it was just like it was pretty cool to see just like the city kind of come together for an event like that. And yeah, I hope it continues to grow in the future.
Yeah, I think so because people are going to see that one, and they're
Yeah.
going to be like, "Yeah, no, L.A. when, or Houston when, Argentina when." It's
Yeah. Yeah. We're going international.
yeah, we're
We're
going to go
well, that's what
international.
I was telling Justin. I'm like, you got to come up to Vancouver so you can take this international.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what happens with you over the course of the next month? You're about 30 days away, and then the launch is what day?
So, well, I'm a bit longer. So I was thinking like August 22nd. I believe that's a Saturday. But yeah, I want to launch in August. The date is still TBD, but it's looking like August 22nd. What do I have to do? So there's a few forms I need to fill out. So there's something called a cosmetic notification form. Like before you start selling product to anyone, you're supposed to fill out this like form. It's like a legal requirement or something like that. I'm pretty sure the States has one with the FDA or whatever. So I have to look into the forms or whatever I have to fill out before I start selling this product. And then yeah, I'm just trying to build up hype for it. So I've got a wait list right now. So if you go to my my website, nudemelon.com, it's like a wait list page where people can put in their emails and just like get notifications on when the launch is happening, what they can expect. I'm going to do some like early bird, or yeah, perks and stuff for whoever's on my wait list before I launch. So they'll get discounts, they'll get early access and things like that too. So yeah, I'm just trying to grow that wait list. I'm trying to pump out as much content as I can. So yeah, I'm trying to, every day, every other day, kind of put something out there and kind of build momentum, build the hype up a little bit. And I think right now I'm at 300 and something waitlist signups. So I'm trying to grow that. Ideally, I'm trying to get to 1,000. So if I can get 1,000 people on that wait list before I launch, then that would be ideal. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but that's kind of the goal. Putting out content, filling out whatever forms I need to fill out, and trying to plan a bald meetup event in Vancouver. So that's my plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. I am one of the members of your wait list, so
There you go.
happy to wait. What about after? So jump forward a month, and now Nude Melon's out. What are the plans for maybe the rest of the year, or
Yeah.
maybe even going to next year?
So, well, okay. Well, first, before I launch, I want to get like some ambassadors as well. So I want to have like some influencers, some, it doesn't even have to be like big influencers or anything, just like people who are down to kind of be ambassadors for Nude Melon. And so we can plan some sort of coordinated launch kind of week where we're really getting content out there and like making sure people are aware about the launch that's happening. And then immediately after launch, and the reason why I wanted to do it at the end of August is because September is Alopecia Awareness Month. So
Mm,
I feel like that's kind of a good transition into, okay, well, like, hey, we're a bald focused brand. This is Alopecia Awareness Month. Maybe we can like, do something along, something to do with alopecia for that month. I haven't really planned it out yet, but, maybe some like featuring some, certain people, certain accounts, doing some sort of collaborations or something like that for alopecia awareness, something there. Um, and then my personal goal is I want to, yeah, I by the end of the year I want to sell kind of all the product that I have, and I want to get into other products as well. So this is like I'm not planning on just doing the bald shampoo as my only product. So I want to get into the next one I want to do is a moisturizer. So I want to have a moisturizer with SPF in it
yep.
as well. So that would be, I think, ideally product number two. And then I also in the future I want to get into the shaving market. So I want to get into razors and maybe shaving creams. I've also seen like scalp masks and things like that. People do face masks, like you can
Ooh,
do like a
okay.
scalp kind of mask. So I've been looking into some of that stuff as well. But yeah, this is product number one, and this is more so to just kind of test out the market, build up an initial audience, kind of build hype around NUDEMELON and like, share kind of what we're doing. And then as we start growing, then we'll like start putting out the whole suite of products that I'm kind of envisioning. And then we'll continue to grow from there.
Yeah. Use the liquid death guy every time, every bottle. I feel like he's nailed it with this one.
Yeah, no, it's I love the way it looks. No, he did a really good job. So shout out to Andrew, um, for the great design work for sure.
And if people are listening to this on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, they can't see, but your head looks incredible. I mean, so I feel how funny would it be if you had this scalp care product and then your head looked terrible and you're like trying to convince people to buy it, but it's like, no, this guy's head looks amazing.
I appreciate that. No, it's funny. I've never been a big skincare guy myself. Like I've always been a very minimalistic kind of bare bones human being. Like I'm probably the person who like I was using whatever on my head in the shower. I wouldn't have paid for like, extra stuff that I was like, oh, I just have this. I can just use this. And I want it like there's so many companies out there that will push like thousands of products down your throat of like, oh, you need this, and then here's your 5-step like scalp routine, whatever. Like I'm never gonna do that. Like I want to make sure that, when I'm building a product, I'm really thinking about like what do you actually need? Is like I don't want to create I don't want to have someone to have like 10 different like things for their scalp. If I can make something that, here's your shampoo. Here's your thing that you can use in your shower while you're washing your head. Okay, here's your moisturizer that you can do after. And then if you want to be a little bougie, here's your like scalp mask that you can try. And like, I don't envision it being like 20 different scalp products. I want it to be, I like the raw kind of like minimalistic approach, and I don't think us bald guys need too much anyways. And I think, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my like. What do you think? Like,
Yeah, no,
wait,
I totally agree because my girlfriend, who's the best, I forgot if it was maybe my birthday or for Christmas, she bought me like a skincare. I don't even know what you call it, a kit. It's a box. It's probably like this big. And it's like, okay, well, you have these special pads that you need to use. And then you need to take this thing and then you like squeeze this onto the pad. And then
yeah,
you rub it on. Then you have to wait. And
that's too
then
much effort.
and then you have to get a serum, right? Which is a
Yeah,
fun word to use. Maybe you want a serum. And then
yeah,
you put the serum on and then you put that on and then you let that sit. And then once that's all done, then you go to and I'm like looking at the instructions, like, what do I have to do here? And
yeah,
yeah, I don't do it. I do it if she's there to help me. That's the only time I do it. This is never my idea. So I think
yeah,
simplicity, I mean, being bald is the ultimate minimalist hairstyle.
yeah.
So why should our products be extremely complicated? Because they should not.
100%. Well, that's one of my Instagrams was actually kind of the showing the difference between people with hair and people who are bald. And like it should be a situation where if you are bald, like you don't have to spend time like doing your hair and doing your, blow drying and doing whatever you do like for your hair, because you're bald. You don't have anything. You're just, it should be easy. It's efficiency. It's faster. It's aerodynamic. It's all this stuff. And yeah, like I think if we go down the path of just like having too much, then it becomes like, it's like, I don't want to be that greedy company that is just like trying to like sell all this shit just for the sake of selling it. It's like, for me, it's like I currently use like three things on my head. I use my bald shampoo. That's what I use in the shower. That's like my daily thing. And then when I come out, I put on like I have like a lotion that I kind of just like put on my head. And then if it's sunny outside, I'll put on some sunscreen. And that's my three things that I'll do. And then obviously when I'm shaving, I have my shaving cream and then shave it. And that is all I do with my skin, with my head. And so the serum, like the oil part, like that's something that I actually have been looking into, because I started my friend had given me one for my birthday last year, and I put a few drops of this oil and kind of started rubbing in my head, and I liked the way that it looked. Like I liked a little bit of the shine that it gave. So maybe I'd look into something like that. But yeah, like that whole, like whatever you were talking about just there with like all the different steps, and you have to wait a minute and you do this, and then you apply it to this thing, and then you apply that thing. It was just like, that's not what I want.
And they're words that are not in my vocabulary. Like, you need to put on the niacinamide. And I'm like,
yeah,
which one is that? Right? You've just just used a word that I don't understand, right?
Yeah.
It's like, just use the flibbertigibbet. And it's like, okay, what does that even look like? These are all clear liquids. How am I supposed to distinguish one from the other? So I think you're exactly right. It's like, if it's sunny, we need sunscreen. We need shaving cream, we need moisturizer, and we need a shampoo. Just make it simple.
And I also think that we need to, like, the wording of the product is also really important. And that's why I called it the bald shampoo, is because I think, we're simple people at the end of the day. Like, the words you were saying, like, we don't know what those things are. But it's like, okay, like, how do we simply, like, if I'm going to a grocery store, what am I looking for? Well, I'm currently using shampoo or body wash or whatever. I know what a shampoo is. Oh, this is for bald people? Bald shampoo.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Like, now I know what I'm supposed to use. That's like easy. I don't have to think about it. I don't need to look in the ingredients list and be like, what are all these, different things? Like, it's just like, how do we simplify this thing as much as possible for this community of people and just like create some fun out of it? Like, that's ultimately what we're doing. So,
and the name of it tells you how to use it, right? It's shampoo for bald people. Just
it's very
do
simple.
that. If you made bald toothpaste, it's like, we know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's yeah. I mean, that's what we're doing, dude.
Oh, this is exciting, man. I'm glad that I got to talk to you, and I'm glad that I got to talk to you now, because I look forward to watching this thing just grow, and it's I don't know that I've ever had a chance to talk to someone before they started doing their thing, and then watch that thing happen. So I'm super excited.
You're here early, dude. You're here early. We'll have to do another one in a year from now and kind of see what happens.
Dude, I would love to. And then I'll wear sunglasses to the next one.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna be like, no,
exactly.
I've come up since then. I've got my own Meta Ray-Bans that I'm wearing, and they're aviator style.
Dude, put it in the calendar right now. 1 year from now.
Don't tell me, because I will absolutely do that.
There you go, dude. I mean, hey, if it's in the calendar, it's in the calendar.
Yeah, there's no I can't quit now. It's like, well, I actually have an appointment a year from now that I got to talk to Azar again.
Put in the calendar. Put it in the calendar, dude.
All right. Well, yeah, as soon as we get off this thing, I will put it in the calendar, because
there you go.
We agree. Oh, but this has been so fun, man. I knew I was going to have a fun conversation with you, and And there was other things I didn't even get to bring up. But you know what? I'm going to save them. I'll save them for next year. Because if you're watching this, you may or may not know that Azar has also written a children's book.
Oh God!
You may or may not know. So there's other things. There's other things. So I
didn't think that was going to get brought up today.
I wasn't even planning on it, but I was. But you know what? I'll just plant the seed for next year, and we'll talk about it then.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's close this thing out, shall we? I mean, it has been an absolute honor and privilege talking to you, sir. Where can people find you? Where can they find your stuff? I mean, I'm pretty sure if they listen this far, they know exactly where it is. But if you want to tell them again, I think it bears repeating.
Yeah, it's called NUDEMELON. So just like that, NUDEMELON. So nudemelon.com, on Instagram, NUDEMELON, on TikTok, NUDEMELON. That's it. That's where you can find us. So it's scalp care for bald heads. And that's what we do.
All right. Well, I highly suggest everybody go check it out and join that wait list. We're trying to get it to 1,000 people.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Steve, for hosting this podcast. I really appreciate it. This is the first podcast that I've been on for NUDEMELON. So I was just stoked to be part of your journey as well as you're kind of building this thing out. And I'm also looking forward to a year from now, checking in with you and seeing all the cool people that you're going to have on your pod and all the cool conversations you're going to have. So I feel like we're going to have some exciting updates from both of us next year.
Yeah, I think we will, man. And then hopefully we'll see each other in person before then.
Yeah, maybe in Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver, put it in the calendar. I'm just going to start looking at flights.
There you go. Let's do it.
Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Azar, for coming on the show. What a cool guy who wore sunglasses to a podcast. That was really awesome. And it was great to talk about a product that is made specifically for the bald community. So if you want to check out Azar's product, NUDEMELON, and their bald shampoo, I'll leave links to everything in the show notes. NUDEMELON will be the sponsor of the August 22nd Bald Meetup in Vancouver, Canada. So if you can make it out, please do. The bald community will be celebrating each other and the launch of Azar's new product, NUDEMELON, and yours truly will be in attendance. So come out and meet me, meet Azar. We're going to have some great things. I'll leave a link for that as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, leave a review, all that stuff. I really appreciate you for making it this far. All right. More episodes to come. I'll see you in the next one. Let your head shine and your mind will follow. This is The Baldest.